All right, folks, before we get started, I just want to say we're coming up really close to our 2-year anniversary on this channel. I'm trying to finish strong, and I'm not going to say for sure that there will be a video every day, but I'm going to be putting out lots of stuff in the next week or so. Today, we're going to try and jump in and get this fuel system figured out. I've had hard starting ever since I got the truck back together, and I'm pretty sure I got it figured out. So, let's get at it. If you're new to the channel, this is my 96 Dodge Ram 3500. If you watched the last video, which I think was called New Junkyard Interior, I got a bunch of parts for this truck. There's going to be a pretty radical transformation in the overall look of it, I hope, in the next little while. But anyways, my primary focus right now is getting ready for the dyno on Friday. It is Tuesday today, and I think I've got one issue that is making my truck start really hard, and also is probably going to have an effect on overall power level, and that is that I keep losing prime, or I'm not keeping pressure in the fuel system. And I'll show you why that is. It was a complete shot in the dark that I took, and I'm pretty sure it was a miss. All right, so if we look in here, this right there is a bulkhead fitting that I put in to act as a return for the fuel system coming from the pump and the injectors. Just so we're clear what's going on, this is a sump that I put in the bottom of the tank. One of those lines is a return, and the other is a feed line for the AirDog pump. So this pump pumps fuel up the frame, which then goes in the side of the P pump right there. The P pump then distributes the fuel through these gray lines over to the injectors, and then that smaller line down in there, that's the injector return line. That goes up and across, comes through there. Sorry, it's kind of hard to show, but this is it here. And then this other one's really hard to show, but right there, it tees in to the return line from the injection pump itself, and then goes back to the tank. And this down here is the return line from the injection pump. Okay, so that is the general loop of the fuel as it goes to feed the pump and the injectors, and then any surplus returns back to the tank. So when I dropped the tank out of the truck, I was really surprised at just how bad a shape the inlet and outlet on the fuel tank were. Considering I was putting a sump in, I decided to just do away with those rusty lines coming in and out of the top of the tank. I had a recommendation from somebody to just do a bulkhead fitting, and I'm pretty sure that has caused me some issues in keeping prime. Okay, so this right here is the top of the fuel tank. Right next to it, right there, is the fuel filler, and the one next to that is the breather for the fuel filler. I drilled a hole in the tank, got this bulkhead fitting, made a line, everything like that, and unfortunately, I think that because this just drains into the top of the tank, that it's unable to actually keep pressure and fuel in the fuel line. So luckily enough, when I first set this up, I actually left an extra loop of fuel line kind of on that return line that kind of wraps around the top. So that's actually going to work to my advantage. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off right above the bulkhead fitting that I've put in. I'll put a bolt or something in there and a couple of hose clamps and tighten her up good. And then I'm going to go ahead and tee into the return line for the AirDog pump. So I got this plastic tee. I definitely was considering going with brass, but the guy at the parts store said this is fuel safe and should be fine. Got a few hose clamps. Hopefully this is going to be a very basic project, but we're just going to jump in and see what happens, and hopefully we'll have proper starting. So the ground is wet. Bit of a rainy night last night. One of these moving blankets on the ground, oh my God, does it ever make a big difference? Worth every penny. Okay, just getting organized here before we get started. I've got a set of shears to cut the line. Before I cut it, I'm gonna clean it up so I don't get any sand and crud in there. I've got my T connector and the 3 hose clamps, the socket to tighten those. This is just a spare piece of 1/2-inch fuel line, which I'm gonna put a bolt in. So I gotta find a bolt somewhere in here that'll fit in there, and then I'll put 1 or 2 of these old hose clamps on there. These probably will work. If not, it's not a big deal. I can go get some new ones. This bolt looks pretty darn good. Just gonna go ahead and stuff her on in there. Pretty tight fit. I'll throw a hose clamp or 2 around that, and that should be just fine. Maybe I'll throw some RTV on it just to be safe. Yeah, something like this should be just fine. At some point in the future, this box is going to need to come off. It's never got painted or cleaned on the bottom of it when I had the truck apart. I just ran out of time. When I do that, or if I ever drop the tank in the meantime, I'll probably do a more permanent solution. Possibly a couple of large washers, you know, heavily coated in RTV or some sort of PL construction glue or something pretty serious, and sandwich it from both sides kind of thing with a bolt. But for now, this should be just fine. So let me know in the comments, do you think a bolt in that line is enough to seal it up, or should I do something like this where I, you know, coat this in some sort of adhesive and clamp it on there as a more permanent means of sealing the tank? Well, I've got everything all cut apart under here. This is the air dog, of course, the one on the right line. This one is the feed line. This is the return coming back to the tank. This here is my return coming from the pump that I put in. I'm thinking maybe the best option is to kind of tee into this one right up around here. Just make it a little bit shorter, a bit less sort of junk hanging around, and I think that'd be a good idea. Well, no turning back now. That line is cut. Got it draining into an old box just to catch the worst of it. Time to toss that T in there and hope this all works. As you can see, I got that T in there. Everything's tightened up good. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up now, look for any obvious leaks. Pump is running, doesn't seem to be leaking at all. I'm gonna go ahead and start her up and take her for a drive. So regardless of whether or not this works, I can confirm with complete certainty that spilling diesel all over your mouth and mustache isn't as refreshing as it sounds. But anyways, let's take her for a drive and see if it works. Okay, I'm going to try and start it up. I'm expecting this first start to be a difficult one because most likely the fuel pressure or the prime is gone out of the fuel system. So I'll probably have to start it, run it for a minute, wait till it smooths out, and then I'll try starting it again. I should also mention that I've recently put in a new grid heater relay. For some reason, my wait to start light is not coming on, but I can pretty clearly hear the new grid heater relay clicking off, and you can see on the volt gauge that it kind of jumps up. So let's go ahead, give her a try. Okay, so I'm just watching the volt gauge. See, you can hear that click and then it jumps up. So I'm giving it some throttle right now, trying to get her going. Okay, give her a second on that starter. You can tell my batteries are a little bit low right now. Okay, just wait for that to pop up. There we go. It should start on this one. There we go. Definitely a little bit of a white smoky start. That is something I'm definitely hoping to get rid of. I don't want to be giving my neighbors that all summer while they're out on their balconies. Okay, now it seems to be idling pretty nice. Let's try it again. So the truck is off. Okay, that's the best start I have had since I got this truck back together. Let's try another one just for fun. Voltmeter seems a little bit lower this time. There, it popped off. Oh, God, that is so nice. You have no idea how deeply bothered I have been by that. Okay, well, I've gone for a bit of a drive. The truck's warmed up. I would imagine any air that was in the fuel system should be out by now and all that. So one thing I have to say, ever since I've had this truck back together, there's been a lot of throttle input when I'm trying to start it. I can't say for sure if that's gone forever, but to be able to just turn the key and have it fire up like that is such a relief, you have no idea. I often don't even want to drive this thing because I just hate how bad it starts. And it took me a while to figure it out. I was blaming the grid heater for a while. Maybe it was a combination of both. But another thing that I'll just say is the throttle response seems to be significantly improved. I would imagine with the way the old system I had was draining out, there wasn't enough back pressure, if that makes sense, as the fuel's coming out of the injector return line. There's nothing to kind of stop it and build pressure in the system. I'm pretty sure I've got that thought train right. But anyways, I'm noticing it sounds a lot cleaner. You know, when you're first giving it gas, before it would kind of have a bit of a clattery sound, and now it just feels a lot more linear, if that makes sense. Long story short, it's starting better. The throttle response feels much better, and I'm pretty happy that we're heading in the right direction. So the next thing that I'm going to be jumping into is probably getting my transmission sorted out. I've got all those parts in now, and the other thing is checking for boost leaks. It's Tuesday today. I'm putting this thing on a dyno Friday, so stay tuned. That should be fun. I can't wait to see how much power this thing's making. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming along. As always, if you're new to the channel, please like and please give me a subscribe. Also, please ring the bell to be notified of new videos coming up. There's going to be a lot of stuff in the next week and a half or so. I'm going to be shooting for almost every day. We'll see how things go, but that's what I'm shooting for. If you want to check me out on some other social media, I am Stocky Bald Man on TikTok and Facebook, and The Stocky Bald Man on Instagram. Thank you, guys. Have a good day. We'll see you on the next one.